ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special Tuesday night exclusive interview. I am your host, The Saint. With me, as always, my trusty co-producer.
That's your
Hey,
job.
there
You
you
heard
go.
that? When you hear producer, you hit the button. I'm here.
What's up?
Ladies and gentlemen, we're here live with a special indie spotlight on a very special guest. I'm David Escato, as my co-host so pleasantly introduced me. I'm hyped for this one. We've been building this up for a couple days now, weeks actually.
Yeah.
Um, for quite some time. I know you've been excited for this. Get to
Oh,
hear a
yeah.
little bit about our special guest story, his time in the ring and in the business, and yeah, I'm excited. It's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a good one.
It's going to be a good one. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and bring on our guest tonight. That is Mr. Johnny Faith. How you doing this evening?
Hey, how you doing, boys? It's good to be on. Good to see you guys. Thank you for the opportunity.
Hey,
Thank you
man,
for.
definitely. Happy to have you here. Um,
Yeah.
So, but let's start. Let's start from the beginning of this because I mean, I met you probably a year or 2 years ago, in North Carolina working a show, and we talked about military stuff. So I know you were in the military, and we're going to cover that too. But tell me where this all started as far as like when did you know being in pro wrestling was something you wanted to do?
So it probably started when I was about 5 or 6. I would say probably in the late '80s, early '90s. That is when I discovered pro wrestling, as I would say. I was flipping through the channels on a Saturday morning looking for some cartoons, I guess, and I think I came across WCW Worldwide or something like that. It was a Saturday morning WCW show, and I started watching it, and I was, hooked from there. So then I started telling my family about it, and my mom was like, "Hey, uh, go talk to Grandpa. Go talk to Grandpa about what you discovered on TV this morning." So I went and talked to my grandfather about it. Turns out he was a professional wrestler, and he, started telling me some stories. Showed me his wrestling box, that had some 8x10s in it. Some of his ring gear was still in it, and all that. So that was when I figured out, hey, maybe professional wrestling is something that I could see myself doing in the foreseeable future.
Man, that's awesome. So who was your
Yep.
grandfather?
So he was Jimmy Faith. He wrestled in the Southeast and the Mid Atlantic in the mid 1970s through probably the early 80s. 80s. Him and his tag partners were uh, enhancement talents, I guess, as he called himself. Um, and traveled, throughout North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, um, Georgia, and Florida, I believe. So, up and down the East Coast, right there, the Mid Atlantic region is where he wrestled.
Right. Dude, that's
That's
crazy.
awesome.
I actually never knew that. I didn't know that part. I knew you had gotten into it when you were young. I didn't know about the whole about your grandfather being in there. Oh, he's got something to show
Yeah,
us.
yeah. See, that's him and his tag partner. Oops, that's him and his tag partner right there.
Good
His tag
grief.
his tag partner is the guy standing up. Grandfather is the guy kneeling. I
Gotcha.
think this
Wow.
was about 1975, 76.
Good grief, man.
Yeah.
So it's in the family. Like you say, you're 6 years old talking to your grandfather about this stuff. What happens next? Military?
What do you mean?
Did you join the service next, or did you get into wrestling before going into the service?
No, no, no. I 6 years old, found wrestling, obviously fell in love with wrestling, followed it throughout my entire childhood, teenage years. When 9/11 happened, went to the Army. Went to the Army for a while, got out in 2015, kind of floated around for a couple years, was pretty lost, had nothing to do, tried the college thing, wanted to go to college, get a degree, you know, didn't really care for the college scene. Still got a degree anyways, but didn't really appease me as much as I thought it would. Found a company about an hour west of where I retired out of in Kansas from the Army. They ran indie shows every month. Went out there as a fan. knowing no storylines, nobody, nothing, just going out as a, $10 military vet paying fan to watch some great wrestling, and was hooked ever since. And then eventually I messaged the page to see if they had any volunteer opportunities, any help or anything like that. And the owner, Billy Simmons, was like, "Hey, man, I'm about to reopen my training facility. Are you interested in becoming a pro wrestler?" And bam, that was all she wrote.
Wow. So
There it
Billy
is.
Simmons, you said?
Yep.
All right. So that's your original trainer?
Yep.
Wow. So this is what, 2016, you said? 2015?
No, this is later. This is 2018. So 2018, like I said, I floated for a couple years.
Okay.
Did the college thing. Um, was pretty lost. I really loved the military service. Wound up having to get out. Um, found this company. Was hooked. Wanted to try my hand at professional wrestling. Really had nothing to do. All I was doing was going to college at the time, so I kind of had a lot of free time, and the opportunity was there. I had never had the opportunity before that. I'd always wanted to do pro wrestling, but I wound up doing military instead because towards that end of my teenage years, I was, headed down the wrong spot, and I really wanted to shift that. And 9/11 happened, and it was the right time, and off I went. So I had to put that pro wrestling dream on the back burner for a little while.
Right.
And
Man.
then, just to correct me if I'm wrong, that's Billy Simmons from Heartland Championship Wrestling, right?
That is correct, sir. He is the owner of Heartland Championship Wrestling right out there in Wichita, Kansas.
It's awesome. And how long were you with him before you got it, into your first match?
So, 2018, I found them as a fan.
Mhm.
Pretty much went to that whole, first half of the year, their shows. Wound up messaging the page that summer. He started his training camp that summer. I trained until about April. So I trained from June of 18 to April of 2019. Had my first match in April of 2019. Matter of fact, I just hit the 5-year mark 2 days ago on the 27th.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Or
That is crazy.
whenever the 27th was. I can't keep track of my days. So on the
Couple days
27th
ago.
was my 5-year mark. Yes.
Wow. Man. So 5 years you've been in professional wrestling, and I know I've seen you in North Carolina. Where all have you worked and traveled?
Florida, Georgia, the Midwest, Kansas mostly. Um, let's see, Indiana. So I've kind of been a little bit everywhere. Tennessee. So I've kind of been a little bit of everywhere. Working on getting that South Carolina license. So when I get back from this recovery, I can start hitting up South Carolina.
Right. Yeah. South Carolina's goofy about their athletics commission and all that.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan. I'll put it that way. I'm not a fan. Um, it's a money grab to me. That's what it
Yeah,
is.
that's a lot what's going on with my wrestling buddies and family out in Oklahoma. They're the same way.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Now, you've wrestled in all them states. Where is home base for you right now?
It'll be Heartland Championship Wrestling out there in Kansas. That is probably my home. That's where I started. That's where I trained with my trainer. He owns his own company, so there's always a spot for me there. Not gonna lie, I drive from Southeast Georgia all the way out there every month, pretty much, or every other month for shows. So
Gotcha.
18 hour one way, there and back. It's a passion thing. It's a respect thing. It's a loyalty thing. It's definitely not a money thing. In that aspect for that company, because that is home for me and it'll always be home. And as long as Billy Simmons owns it, Johnny Faith will be a part of it.
Yeah, that's a clip. 18 hours is no laughing matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can make it from here to Dallas, Fort Worth in about 17. Right in there. And that's including stopping, stopping gas and all that mess.
Gas and
Yeah.
Yeah.
brakes.
It takes
That's
me
a drive.
brakes. What are brakes? You're driving.
Well,
such thing as
you
brakes.
take your breaks when you pick up your gas. Pick up some snacks on the way. Never know.
Yeah.
Unless there's some cool attraction on the side of the road, you never know.
No, I don't
Yeah.
do all that. I just keep going. Dude, I one shot the Keys from here to the Keys and the Keys back. I one shot that. That's 15 hours one way, with no traffic. So
Yeah, that's what I do. It's a turn and burn, man. I leave Friday morning and I'm back Monday morning. And that includes 8 hours there at the show, helping clean up a little bit and rolling back. So it's like Friday morning to Monday morning. It's like I'm there. You know,
Mhm.
it
good
there
grief.
it's just yeah, I was I don't know. I guess I kind of molded myself to do that, I guess, there at the beginning, because when I moved down here to Southeast Georgia, I had to start over. I didn't have that word of mouth. You know what I'm saying? When I first came out here on the East Coast, so I had to start messaging promoters, sending my highlight reel, my resume, matches, stuff like that. Coming to shows, introducing myself, helping set up, tear down. I had to start over completely, and it was an eye opener. So there for a minute, I really wasn't getting a lot of shows, so I would drive out there, to at least work once a month. So I kind of got accustomed to driving out there and back, I guess.
Yeah, I got to put in those rounds, and you said like pretty much you sound like you're paying your dues, getting your foot in the business, learning, it, and you built yourself up here. Oh, lost Ron
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
Go
because
ahead.
like it's pretty much as soon as things were going good for me, COVID happened, and so everything
Yeah.
stopped. And then as soon as COVID happened, my dad got sick, and I moved back here to the East Coast, and had to start completely over. And I just it was an eye opener. So wrestling out there in Kansas, was always something that I would always know would be there as long as I needed it.
Was there anybody here that you made connections with during that time period? Because pretty much, I think a lot of places ended up just kind of closing up for the time being during that time period. Were you still doing and some kind of bookings or anything on the side? You said you moved down here to take care of your dad
Yeah,
in
yeah.
between.
After COVID was over,
Hmm.
I moved down here to take care. I moved to Charlotte, to help take care of him.
Hmm.
He got cancer and stuff, and my mom still had to work, so we needed somebody there to help him out. And so I came there. I did some training sessions at Lodi's up there in Matthews. Ran some shows with Extreme World Wrestling, and Manny Mac in. I think that time it was an Indian Trail at the Tap and Vine. Ran did some shows there, but other than that, it was kind of like I was still trying to figure it out and message promoters and stuff. So things were kind of slow when I first when I
Hmm.
first moved back east.
I seem to have lost you there, Ron. Everything
Yeah.
good?
Yeah, I think the entire region dropped. We just
Whoa.
suffered an outage right here in our
Whoa.
area. So
Hey, this is why I like it.
hey,
Unscripted and raw.
hey
Anything can
man,
happen.
hey man, look, we gotta do what we gotta do. But I mean, I'm gonna tell you what that means. I'm getting ready to do. Let me leave this tilted up for a minute. But anyway, yeah, carry on. I'm sorry.
We can still hear you. It's all good. I know what
Oh,
you're gonna.
okay.
You're probably gonna bring out a cigar and enjoy yourself for the rest of the evening. While
Oh,
Mr.
you're.
Faith
Oh yeah, that's definitely it.
figured.
This is exactly what I'm doing. I just had to get in the humidor, and there's another box right there beside the humidor, and I don't want us to get taken off air and then cussed out, and then yeah, I don't want to get
So,
canceled over something.
question, because Ron, you kind of told me like last week or a couple weeks ago that we're gonna have a special guest. I gotta ask, where did this come from? Like, how did you guys collaborate this? You said I heard you earlier.
Well,
You said you've been on a couple shows here in the Carolinas,
so
but what brought
here's
this?
how I'll tell you how it came about for me.
Mhm.
Um, Johnny said something about who are some of these podcasts in the area I would love to get on air, and I'm
Mhm.
like, somebody, I think it was a dude from XWW said, "Hey man, you should get on Ron's show." And I'm like, okay. I'm like, yeah, he can come on. I'm like, I don't turn people down for stuff. I mean, I do, but it's normally a money thing, not a thing like this. The hell
Mhm.
would I turn him down for? So that's dumb. You don't do dumb stuff. What? All right, we try not to do dumb stuff. We try not to do dumb stuff.
Yeah,
Let's go with
thank you
that.
for that was like a
Yeah, I need to
okay.
rectify. I'm not going to drink on air tonight. I just thought about it. I'm not going to drink on air tonight. I was about to.
It's just apple juice, but as you were.
Oh no, we can't get in trouble for that anymore. We can't get in trouble for that anymore.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, the internet's out, guys. Sorry. Good night. Have a good one.
Doing some damage control in the house. That's okay.
Oh yeah, both kids were. One of them's already in bed. He's like, "Hey, Dad, internet doesn't work. Oh, I can't help you, bud. The internet's out. I don't know what to tell you guys."
Ron, you were saying you were.
Forget what I was saying, honestly, dude.
No, so what happened was I had this heart attack, so I'm kind of out of wrestling for right now. So I was trying to brainstorm ways to stay relevant and to stay like in with wrestling because I think I spent about 2 weeks after my heart attack, away from wrestling. I didn't post anything, nothing like that, and it kind of sucked, and I kind of hated it. So now I'm just like, even though I'm on the sidelines and I can't wrestle, I can at least share a flyer here or there. I can put up a reel or I can do something. So I put out a post and was like, hey, and what could podcast interviews, something like can I come on and let's talk about some wrestling and my story and let's at least let's at least do some storytelling while I'm on the sidelines. I'm good with that.
Well, and that's kind of how it came about with me and Johnny. Was I was like, look, I said, how much time do you want? I said, if this is you hitting cliff notes and we're going to be 15, 20 and out, I'm like, you can just come on Thursday show. I was like, but if you want to tell the whole story and you want to have a good time and we can sit here and talk for, I got a while. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? if you want to come on air and talk and do it that way, let's do that. But we'll just drop a whole show for you. I don't care. This is what we do. If somebody wants to do something or somebody has a point, there's a reason I keep moving, by the way. And if you're not smart enough to figure it out, I'm glad you can't figure it out. But so I was like, this is great. We'll have Johnny come on. He can tell his whole story. And I want to hear about your time in the service. You know what I'm saying? I want to hear about, you and I are we're right there around the same age. We really are. You were born in the mid 80s and so was I. So it was like, this guy's he's a good guy. He's had a bad luck of the draw here lately. He's solid in the ring. He promotes every damn show he works on. He promotes other people's shows just because he loves the business. This is the type of people you want to support. This is the type of people you want to be behind. And I have no control over comments, Dave, and you're going to have to handle all that mess tonight. And it's not me.
Good times. Fun.
Yeah. Well, hold on. I got this one. Gotta love live. At least you didn't break a chair from under you. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I made fun of you for that, though.
See Miss Majestic Marie saying hello. Good to see you, Miss Marie.
I can't wait to meet her. I get to meet her in June. That's going to be awesome.
Mr. Luke Thomas.
I get to meet Luke, I think. Luke
oh, wow. I didn't realize how many people have already commented on this thing. I just noticed.
We got a bunch of comics. Manny Mac saying Johnny Faith rules. Hey, good old Manny Mac.
Manny Mac, what's up, my brother?
Oh, Manny Mac, man. He's a great guy. Scott, matter of fact, Scott Larson. Hopefully I can go on his show at some point, too, and tell my story for him over at hashtag.
Yeah. Wolvie's in here. Wolverine's
that's cool.
What up, Johnny?
Yep.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, Scott Larson.
Then, we actually have Bell Osale saying, pleasure to say he's worked with you. I hope your recovery is going well.
I think Bell's the one who told Johnny to hit me up. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Awesome.
He's one of Metal Shark's goons that beat the shit out of me a couple weeks ago, and or not a couple weeks, a couple months back in Waxhaw.
Yeah.
Dude,
yeah. But that's the thing. I told Scott and I talked about it, and I was like, look, have him on your show as well. He was like, well, I don't want to take content from you. I'm like, you're not. We don't run the same show. You have a script. We don't. This is not the same.
Well, and I tell different stories too, because I was just on a podcast a couple of days ago, and I got a whole bunch to tell. It's not like I can tell everything in an hour. I got a little bit of here and there, everywhere that still tells everything.
Mhm.
Right. This is the first one of these I've had, and that's a bad one. I ain't gonna lie. I'll have to, Dave, and if I got any left in June. Hey, and actually, I'll be in Georgia in June.
Yep,
Nice.
you will be.
Johnny needs to come out to what is that? Birthday of Champions up there in Marietta.
It's about, I'd say, that's Atlanta. It's North Atlanta. So it's about 4 hours northeast of where I'm at.
Yeah, it's 3 for me, but I'm just
About 4
hitting.
hours.
Yeah, I'm hitting 85 earlier in the day. Hopefully, it won't be atrocious, but knowing my luck, it's 85. Um, 85 is never good.
No, driving through Atlanta, period. That's what, that's one of that's probably the worst city. My entire trip out to Kansas, the probably is Atlanta's the worst trip part of that trip, and it's 4 hours into my trip. So it's right at the beginning. And driving through that city is just, man, it's just a pain because I got to go through the whole thing almost.
When I drove back from, see, I flew into Dallas Fort Worth, bought a car, and drove it home. That's exactly how that happened. Um, I flew down there, and I was on my way back, and I couldn't get out of first gear for over an hour
Wow.
on
That's crazy.
my side of Atlanta. I was like between first and second for like 90 minutes in construction traffic. It sucked. It was awful. That's what killed me. I'd have made it in one run. I'd have made it one run because I was right at the state line when I was like, you know what? I can't see straight anymore. I need to pull over. And I pulled over and went to sleep for a couple hours in the car.
Yeah, Atlanta's like one of the worst cities to drive through. It really is.
Yeah. But I'm looking forward to that. I'll send you some flyers for that, man. If you're interested, come up and hang out with us.
Let me know when it's supposed to be.
June, it's like June 6th, 7th, and 8th, but I'm only gonna be there the 7th and the 8th. I'm
6 and
leaving.
8, yeah.
Yeah, I'm staying one night and leaving on the 8th. So I'll be there the 7th and the 8th, but I'm leaving on the 8th to come home. I now have plans that Sunday. So I didn't have
Gotcha.
plans. Let me rephrase that. I didn't have concrete plans until like last week. But now I have concrete plans and I plan on keeping those.
Gotcha.
We're gonna go to a different type of convention, nothing to do with wrestling or
Interesting.
anything. A convention style I've never been to, so that'll be neat, something new. Anyway, dude, so you joined the military right after 9/11. When did you graduate what year did you graduate high school?
Oh, so 03 technically graduated in 03. It was, I got out, I dropped out of high school. Probably about, I think April or so of 03, but I got a GED in that August of that year of 03. Went and took the GED test, and like I said, it was just a rough couple years, there at the end of my teenage years and even into like my early 20s. And, right at the beginning of the Army career, I was just still trying to figure out my way without following in the path of, peers around me that were going down the wrong path as well. So I was trying to find a different way out and wound up just joining the Army and said, screw it. I saw a recruiter. He was like, hey, man, we can get you out as soon as you want. How fast do you want to leave? I was like, can you send me out next week? And he was like, let's see what we can do. Because,
Oh,
I was
wow.
ready. I was ready to go, man.
Right, dude. I get it. I get it entirely, actually. Because I graduated in 03 as well.
04.
And you graduated in 04, yeah. He's the young buck of the show. That's right. Oh God, that's copyrighted. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that.
All right. We have a couple of comments. We got Mr. Luis LeBoy, all the way from Springfield, Massachusetts.
What's up, man?
Awesome
Wow.
promoter, has his own promotion out there, saying thank you for your service.
Hey, thank you. Thank you, Luis. I appreciate that.
Yeah. But I mean, I can remember getting my paperwork for the military and what I signed up for versus neighbors walking by while I'm on air. That's great. What my original job type or job task or whatever was supposed to be was completely changed into something else that didn't add up and didn't make sense. And I was like, yeah, you know what? We're not going to do this. There was a boatload of red lines and craps scribbled in there, and I'm like, yeah, I don't like this. The recruiter for that branch. I'm not even gonna name the branch at this time. That dude actually ended up getting court-martialed for forging medical documentation
Oh wow.
Ooh,
on recruits. Yep.
that's
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah, man. Because I mean, that was how they were making their numbers. Apparently, that dude was at
They
least.
were, yeah, man. Hey, I was the easiest recruit ever, man. I walked in there and I was like, "Hey, how fast can you get me out?" And he was like, "Man, I can get you out the day after Christmas,
Mhm.
bro. When you know, you got about a month and a half, I can get you out. What do you, you know, I was the easiest recruit ever. You know, they didn't have to. I did the ASVAB. They were like, "All right, you got these jobs right here."
Mm.
Probably the best one I would say is, you know, 12 Bravo Combat Engineer. So I would probably pick that one, and that's what I did, and off I went to Fort Leonard Wood.
Fort
Good
Lost in the
grief.
Woods.
Good lord, man. Yeah, I spent a considerable amount of time at AP Hill, but I was a contractor there. I spent some time at Fort Lee back in the day too, couple months. But dude,
So so you went from the military. You went from high school to military, straight from the military, just literally right out of high school. Um, do you think that that prepared you for the training and everything that had to go into being like not just physically fit but in ring fit when it came to the wrestling training? You think that helped out a lot?
I think part of it did for sure.
Mm,
Obviously, you know, if you can't really know what wrestling is like until you actually step into the ring and get the bumps and, you know, run the ropes. You know, ring cardio is a lot different, you know, at least for me, than, you know, outside cardio.
mm-hmm,
Outside cardio, I can do a lot, you know, in terms of, you know, like longevity and things like that. You know, in ring cardio, you know, I think to me is a whole different ball game.
mm,
So in some ways, I would say definitely military training carried over, for sure, especially when it comes to hand to hand combat and self defense and things like that. You know, that can definitely carry over. But as you know, as far as cardio, ring cardio, you know, for me, that's the big thing, the big difference. You know, because you really don't understand the concept of being in a wrestling ring until you're actually there. So you don't
mm,
know exactly what to prepare for until you actually experience it. And, you know, it was something that I, you know, had definitely, you know, underestimated, you know, at the beginning of my training. You know, ring cardio was something that I was not ready for.
different
So
animal, yeah.
best believe I was in that ring as much as possible, running those ropes and doing drills and things to get better for sure.
So you
man,
say like the wrestling well, the army drills were a little easier than the wrestling drills there.
Hey, I was shocked. I'm not gonna lie, man. Like I
Yeah.
was shocked with, you know, wrestling and you know what it was like. My first day training was, you know, an eye opener. It really was. You know, I didn't realize what all it went into, what all went into it in terms of, you know, athleticism and actually, you know, cardio and, you know, just being in shape in general, you know, to just, you know, carry yourself in a match, let alone an opponent.
Mm.
well,
So I have
that's
to add. Oh,
that's
sorry.
a that's another thing I was going to bring up is actually, you know, a lot of people, a lot of naysayers when it comes to professional wrestling. Let me put it that way: naysayers, or you know,
No,
even
you're
people who
right.
think they're
Naysayers.
smart, or
Mhm.
even people who think they're smart, don't understand what goes into it. So, in my estimation, I feel like you got a leg up because of the discipline that you were taught in the military. You were able to take that discipline and apply it into, you know, your wrestling career. And that discipline, both how to conduct yourself as a man, how, you know, how a fight would make sense, you know, things like that. Those disciplines carry over in my book and make you in I'm not saying it would make everybody a better performer, but I'm saying in your case, that probably helped you a lot.
Well, yeah, I totally, you know, it was, you know, mouth shut, ears open, you know, for sure. And you know, that's how I was taught, you know, training wise, anyways, because you know, when I first started out, I was greener than goose crap, you know what I'm saying? So I wanted to know, I wanted to learn everything that I could. So it was always, ears open, mouth closed. Anytime my trainer was talking to a different person about something, critiquing them, I was still listening. I could always learn something. That discipline that the military taught me, like you said, to observe and learn while observing was critical, in my development at training for sure.
So, I see that your moniker is the American Hero. Is that obviously that looks like it's going to be inspired from your military roots? Do you know where that nickname came from? How it started? Was there a particular moment that you remember when that started? When you started hearing that chant?
I was It was actually given to me by a few people, and it kind of I didn't have a moniker at the beginning. At the beginning, I was just Johnny Faith because I was still trying to figure out, you know, who I was at the beginning when I first started wrestling, and trying to find my way and my niche and all that. And I was being interviewed backstage, by somebody. I can't remember exactly who it was. And he introduced me. He's like, this is one hell of an American hero coming up to us right here. Johnny Faith, how'd it go out there tonight? Something like that in terms of an interview. And it kind of just stuck for a second. And I decided, I was like, the American hero Johnny Faith. I was like, it took me about a week, to try to see if it would work. And so the next time I was in the ring, I had the announcer, hey man, can you say the American hero Johnny Faith before that? So I wanted to hear what it sounded like, so it was the first time I had ever been called the American hero Johnny Faith, and, got to hear it over the speakers. And I really liked the way it rang. And so I just rolled with it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's pretty cool. That's kind of cool origin story there for that. Some of those best monikers come from moments like that, just kind of magic moments that just kind of once in a lifetime. That's pretty cool. And Luis here and confirming what you're saying is that's what they say. It's a big difference to be in ring shape. He's in the ring himself. Cardio is definitely needed in the ring. It's true.
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely. I mean, you gotta protect yourself and your opponent, and ring shape definitely goes a long way with that for sure.
Right. Man, I've probably seen you a half a dozen times here in the North Carolina market. Somewhere in that neighborhood, I would say, across the
Yeah.
couple years I've known you. Um, I find it interesting right now that there are three people that stick out in my brain who I know of that have been in prior military service, who are active wrestlers in the area. And one thing I've found is, like, it is so hard for a crowd to boo a military personnel when they know that. Actually, I take that back. There's four that I know of, and it's especially hard for me. Like, I have a hard time booing anybody, even if they are the bad guy. But you know what I'm saying? That's that
Yeah.
personal side of it, instead of the professional side. Um, man, it's wild to see. You know, I'll use an example. Randy Wayne as an example, right?
Okay.
United States Marine Corps, right? And served and all that. It is awkward to me when it's like he's a bad dude, and the people are booing him, and it's like, good God, this guy, put his self on the line for you. You know what I'm saying? I think and that also applies actually to fodder as well.
Yeah.
It's so weird with fodder, in my book, because of his military experience. But he does such a great job of being a bad guy.
I had a promoter try to turn me heel once. They tried, and it didn't really work. It was more of a like, I don't know if it was an experiment, or like they were trying to get me over. They were trying to get this heel tag team over, and they needed a third man.
Mm-hmm.
And I was new to the company, so they were like, hey, let's you're gonna lose dirty tonight. You're gonna turn heel, and you guys are gonna do a 6-man tag next month. you'll be with the heels. And I was like, okay, well, we'll try to see how this works. I'll do the best I can, and it was something that didn't work, very well. There was still a bunch of USA chants, and it didn't work. So, the next month he was just like, all right, well, all right, I guess we're not trying that anymore.
At least he recognized it.
Well, it sucked too because I kind of really didn't put all in the heel situation. I was still big baby face trying to get USA chance and all that. So it was hard for me as well, trying to be that bad guy when I really just wanted to cheer and do my thing. So it kind of, it was kind of a uncomfortable, I guess you could say, moment for me as well because I'd never been a heel before and never tried to be a heel. And it was, pretty uncomfortable. And I'm not saying that I'm opposed to being a heel. Of course, I would love to try it, as long as we can make it work and it could get over, in a healthy way, not in a bad way where, I have to like completely like turn my back on America or something like that,
Yeah, that would make sense. As they say, make it make sense.
Yeah, that's my moniker right there. That should be.
Definitely. Hey, looks like we got a comment. David, you got that?
It's Ghazi being Ghazi.
Yeah. What did he say here?
What did he say?
She said, "Could someone please hit me with a chair? It's been too long, and the voices are getting loud again."
Oh my
Okay,
God.
so Ghazi, the next show that we're both on, I will figure it out and I'll hit you with a chair.
I don't know if that's her way of calling you out, Johnny Faye, but we'll deal with that later.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I mean, I'll hit Ghazi with the chair. Why not?
If Ghazi needs it, I guess. I mean, I'll be happy. I guess.
Right.
I'll ease the pain. I guess. I'll try to.
Always willing to help somebody out with the voices in their head.
Yeah, exactly.
No
Because
problem. Just as long as you aren't hearing my voice in your head afterwards, then we got a problem.
Well, as long as you don't interrupt the same conversation, you should be fine, I think. Are
There
there
you
any
go.
memorable moments or memorable matches that come to mind when it comes to your in-ring career? You took a bit of a hiatus there. I know you're currently recovering now. Is there anything in the since coming down here that comes out to you as either a memorable match or a memorable moment?
So last year was pretty bad for me. The year before that, my father had passed. So last year was pretty bad for me. I had taken a mental break from everything. About it was like 5-6 months. I had taken about 5 or 6 months off of wrestling last year, and my trainer had sold his share of the company that he was in at the time out in Kansas, and started Heartland Championship Wrestling. Summer of last year. So I didn't wrestle for him, his first like 4 or 5 shows because, I was taking my mental break because I really needed it, honestly. And I just needed to recover from everything that had just happened. My dad died. And then a couple weeks later, one of my good wrestling buddies died, back to back. So it was just tough. And the first show that I had back for him, for Billy Simmons at Heartland Championship Wrestling, was last November, and it was Veterans Day. And it was the first time I'd ever had the chance to wrestle on Veterans Day. And so they did this big Fight for the Hungry show out in Wichita. Veterans came. It was packed. Crazy. So they had a 20-man Veterans Day Rumble. In the main event. Johnny Faith is out number 3. In the Rumble. Whatever. Wound up winning the match. Or so I thought. Came down to the last 2. It came down to me and another guy by the name of Red James. And Billy Simmons, the owner, comes out, and at the time he was starting to introduce his championships, slowly. And he comes out and he says, "Hey, this match isn't going to be over the top rope. It's going to be 1, 2, 3 in the ring, and whoever wins gets this championship." And it's in this black freaking bag, so I have no idea what it looks like. So I wound up beating Red James. Getting this championship. It wound up being the Heartland Championship Wrestling Independence Championship, and it was all done without me knowing anything. So it was all big, like, swerve, there for a second, and it was a big night for me because it was the first night back since my hiatus. It was Veterans Day, and it was just emotional. And for Billy Simmons and HTW to do that for me, you know, is something I will always remember.
That is awesome. That's
awesome. Like speaking of which, you had that championship. You the Heartland Independence Championship. For quite some time. Kind of just Ron told me that to do our homework. There were a couple of matches, but one that really stands out that I watched. I think it was like a Christmas themed event. Like it was at a Christmas show for
Yeah,
Heartland.
yeah.
What? Tell us a little bit about that one.
It was me and Red James again. It was a rematch. So
Hmm.
I gave him a rematch, and it was fun. It was Wreck the Halls was the name of the show. It was Wreck the Halls. So wound up winning that one. Won that one. Um, he wound up making a mistake. I wound up taking advantage and retaining. Lost it a couple months ago.
Hmm.
Lost it in February in a four-way dance.
Oh wow.
Um, Lost it. Was hoping to get it back. I was fighting to get it back. Had the heart attack. So now I'm keeping my eye on it. So wherever that belt goes, that's where I'm watching. I can tell you that right now, because when I come back, that belt's definitely going to be the first thing I'm going for.
You're here. Good. And what I'm sorry to hear about the heart attack, and it's something that we wanted to touch upon too. Just we're thankful that you're doing well, that you're in recovery at the moment. What are you doing to kind of help with that recovery? Are you doing physical therapy, or is there anything in particular that you're getting into to kind of prepare yourself to get back up on your feet or back in ring action?
So earlier today, I've actually put a video up. Earlier today, I was my first day at cardiac rehab.
Hmm.
So it's pretty much building me up slowly, to get me back to physical activity. Like today, I walked on a treadmill for like 15 minutes. I did a couple bike rides for another 20-25 minutes or so. Just and over the next couple weeks to a month, we're going to slowly build me back up to where I can start, getting back to being 100% and going to the gym, like I did before normally, and just get back, to the normal activity before the heart attack. I got about a month of cardiac rehab before I will be able to start getting back to where I was at before the heart attack.
Okay, that's awesome, man. It's great to hear that you're progressing. That's great to hear.
Yeah, it's been about, I had my heart attack March 6th, so it's been almost 2 months,
Hmm.
and it seems like it's been forever. But now that the pieces are starting to come together and I'm starting to get cleared to do things and starting to get back off my feet to, get back to where I was at, it's encouraging, it's enlightening, and it's making me a lot happier. And even doing like podcasts and interviews like this, keeps me going as well, for sure. So I appreciate you guys letting me come on.
well, of course, man. I was listening. I had to go check. I wanted to go check and see if the system was still down in the house. It
Hmm.
is. So,
Yeah, it
um,
sucks.
yeah, it is what it is, man. Well, you know me. It's if it's something I can fix, it's something I can fix. If it's not something that in my grasp, it is what it is.
Hmm.
Um, that whole scope of work thing.
True that, yeah.
It's actually saying I lost my network outside, which is weird because I'm not on. Hmm, strange. I have no idea. Anyway,
Um, do you have anything coming up? Or any shows that you're doing, or any like other podcasts or anything you want to promote?
um,
I know that Ron, you and Ron talked a little bit about it. You feel free to promote or mention anything while you're on
yeah.
here.
I got a couple more podcasts coming up. I think I have to put the announcements out on my page
Hmm.
for that. I'm gonna start becoming guests. I'm gonna start going to wrestling shows hopefully here soon.
Hmm.
As well. I'm gonna go out to Heartland for their show in May 18th. So I'll go out to Heartland Championship Wrestling May 18th. Just to snoop around and all that. I think I might, take a trip up to Charlotte and Matthews, maybe something up there. Maybe check out some XWW. Now that I can start traveling and stuff, I'm just gonna start going to places and, just as a fan, just enjoy wrestling, while I can, while I'm on the sidelines, just enjoy and support.
I mean,
You
that's one thing. That's one thing about it, though, is you know I've seen I've seen professional wrestlers be backstage and still be able to contribute to the show, even as just a thought guy, and that sort of stuff helps, man. So,
yeah.
um, and you were every time I've ever interacted with you in a locker room, it was always an honor, whether we were
Appreciate that.
whether we had time to talk, whatever military stuff we talked about, or we were just talking about the matches or your match in particular, or whatever. I think that's one of the coolest things about it, man, is it's weird to me, and sometimes I have to snap myself out of it because I can't believe it's what's happening when you get somebody that's done a lot of shows or been on TV or whatever, and they're asking you for your opinion on what happened, and it's
Hmm.
like it's just like, wait a minute, why are you asking me? I'm a freaking nobody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hmm.
But it's part of it's a respect thing, and then part of it's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, and that's how it is when people ask me things. For me, it's kind of like, why are you asking me? I mean,
Hmm.
I've only been around, a little bit. There's so many other great brains in this locker room that you can ask. And I'm not
Hmm.
saying that, I'm ungrateful for you asking me. I am.
Hmm.
It's an honor, and I will answer you the best of the way I can and steer you the right direction, hopefully. But at the same time, I'm just like, kind of, I'm looking around at the locker room and the other people that are in the locker room, and I'm like, wow, out of all people, he came up to me and asked me a question like that. It's kind of an honor, and kind of, I was kind of, speechless there for a second.
Yeah, well, you have to think about it this way. Like you've had so much time in the business so far that you have your own experience in your time that you are actually be able to give some valid input into the newer guys and the shows themselves. Um, so I think that's like as Ron was saying, even as an idea guy, you're still an asset regardless if you're in ring talent or not. There's a lot you could bring in because you bring a different perspective. You actually bring in ring perspective to whatever issues that they may have or stories, whatever they're trying to put together. But yeah, you're still an asset um, in the business.
Yeah, definitely. And my trainer thinks the same thing, obviously, because I'm in their training chat. I'm in his training chat with his trainees, and I
Hmm.
try to solicit advice to them as much as I can,
That was actually going
here
to be
and
my
there.
follow. That was actually going to be my follow up. If you're passing that info off to the next generation, if you have any trainees or anybody who's learning lessons from you so far.
Yeah, yeah. His trainees were all in the chat together.
Hmm.
So, whatever wisdom, whatever guidance, whatever anything that I hear, anywhere from podcasts to seminars to the veteran in the locker room, I will share that wisdom with the next guy. As long as it makes wrestling better, makes them better as wrestlers, makes the company better. I'm all for making everything better. Um,
That's a huge help too.
Hmm.
Anything that makes this better, anything that makes it go further. Everybody's always worried about what's next. Well, you can't build the next level of this without securing the foundation of the present. And that goes in all facets of everybody's life. You can't build towards what's next without a stable foundation of where you are.
yeah.
That's just my philosophy on it. Um,
I just try to make everything as better than when I left it, if that makes sense. Like
Yes,
I'm
always.
always trying. I'm always trying to make something better. I never get involved with backstage stuff. I never get involved with drama. I always just, I tuck my head and I just roll, and I try to pass on what I can that I think will help, the next generation, the next wrestler, go further than I am. Do greater things than I have done. That's what I want to see. I want to be that person that can stand there and watch, one of my trainers trainees make it, make it to one of those, top level companies and be like, maybe some of the wisdom that I gave him helped him get there. Something
That's
like that, just
Right.
just hoping that, whatever I can pass on to the next generation really benefits them and benefits wrestling as a whole.
that's good. That's good.
Because
That's a great way of seeing it. Yeah.
there's a lot of crap out there. There really is. I mean, you can look anywhere and find it, obviously, and that's in any aspect of life and not just wrestling. But you always got to learn how to look at it in a positive manner, or at least try to turn it into a positive manner, and that's what I try to do.
So we're going to segue into the second part of this question, but is there anybody that you look up to or have looked up to in the business who was inspiration to you when you first got started and now? Who would you say would be your biggest inspiration?
My trainer would probably be my biggest inspiration because he he's been through a lot, and he has came a long way, from Amarillo, Texas to Wichita, Kansas, and he built two different wrestling empires pretty much out there in the Midwest. And, to watch him do that and to see him do that and succeed at it, really inspired me, and that guy's always Billy Simmons is always going to be one of my heroes, for many reasons, but to watch him, build them empires out there and succeed at it, inspires me to do the same, in my life and, build some empires of my own.
Now, who would you say is your most known opponent? Your, you know, most famous opponent, even.
Like indie famous or like famous, because I've done some stuff with Eugene. I
Okay.
mean, that's
That's
about
dope.
that's about as famous as it gets for me when it comes to like WWE, former people like that. I mean, obviously I've shared cards with other, former WCW names, WWE names, things like that. But as far as like wrestling, been involved in storylines or something like that, Eugene was one of them. As far as like I mean, I can local guys, in North Carolina. I mean, Thomas Extreme, I wrestled him. I wrestled Xander Keys, uh, Hunter Rayner, Manny Mac a few times. Beat up Manny Mac a lot. Enjoy beating up Manny Mac. It's pretty good. It's always a good time to wrestle Manny Mac.
Man, I hear that a lot. I hear that a lot.
He's just
I'm
so
actually
selfless. He's so
Oh,
selfless. So I mean, it makes it great. You know what I mean? It's just like whatever you want to do, man.
that's funny. Um, when was your XWW debut?
My XWW debut, I believe, was all right. So he ran two shows out in Indian Trail a few years back at the Tap and Vine, which is like a restaurant in their parking lot. And that is the first time that I wrestled for Manny. Was I want to say it was 2020, I think 2021 maybe,
gotcha.
or 2022. It was either 2021 or 2022, somewhere in there. I wrestled two outdoor shows for him at the Tap and Vine, and have wrestled about 4 or 5 more since then for him.
Yeah, I think I came in at the end of 22 into
Mm.
XWW. So I've seen you. I think those are the only ones I've seen you, unless I've seen you with somebody else. I'm trying to think, because man, you know how it is. Shows
Yeah.
run shows and shows and shows, and it just runs. It all kinds of runs together. Um, but either way, man, Eugene Densmore, that's huge. That's
Yeah,
huge.
that's pretty cool.
Some of your favorites up here. Thomas Extreme is underrated as hell.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I really want to run it back with him, because I think we did an 8 minute, and we talked at that match. After that match, I think we talked, Ron. After that match, but yeah, I want to run it back with Thomas definitely again. Wouldn't mind doing it with Xander again as well. Was supposed to do a flag match with him at a show. That would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, Xander's a solid guy. He was actually sitting at the table with us during WrestleCade. Well, they were at the other end of the table, but yeah,
Sweet.
it was a huge. What did we have? 4 tables, 5 tables set up.
Something like that.
It was ridiculous.
Wow.
It was us, Audrey Allen, Uh, Xander was there. Dex Carter was there. There was a boatload of people there. I can't even remember everybody.
Jesse
remember this-
Wilkes from United
Yeah.
Kingdom Pro. Get well, soon, Johnny. We miss you, brother.
All right, thank you, Jesse. I appreciate it, buddy.
So, tell us about that. Tell us about how that all happened, the heart attack, because you've alluded to it, but
Yeah.
um, yeah,
So this is my second one actually. I had a mild heart attack about 5 years ago. Had a stent placed. Everything was good. 100% back to normal. No damage. Nothing like that. Was good to go. Cleared to wrestle. All that good stuff. March 6th, I was helping put together a bed for my daughter. We bought her a nice bedroom set, and I was putting it together for her, and went out to throw some stuff in the trash can, and pretty much had a heart attack right there in my driveway. Was talking to my fiance and one of my buddies, and we were just taking a break from putting together the furniture, and I'm sitting in a chair, and all of a sudden I just get super hot, chest starts hurting, all that good stuff. Heart attack symptoms are on. Uh, Wound up going inside and laying down, thinking it was GERD because I have GERD from the military, and GERD kind of feels the same sometimes for me. It kind of burns and really hurts and all that. So I took some omeprazole. Wasn't GERD. Wound up going to the doctor the next day, the hospital the next day, the ER, and they pretty much said, "Hey, you got to go get your chest cracked open because you had a massive heart attack."
good.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was the first one, or the
This was
second?
No, this was the second one. So the
Okay.
first one was just mild. It wasn't anything serious. This one was pretty serious. It was a
Wow.
96. Yeah, it was 96% blockage, and because of where the stent was from the first heart attack, they couldn't go back in there, so they had to open me up. They couldn't stent me again, so they had to open me up, crack my chest and do a bypass, and they wound up taking a vein out of my right arm and doing a
Oh,
bypass.
wow.
So, but I mean, everything's good. I keep like I said, started cardiac rehab today. Everything looked good today. The last testing that I had about 2 weeks ago showed everything fine. The sternum bone is pretty much 95% healed, so it's almost done. The heart's good to go. Heart looked good.
That's
Now I
good.
just got to eat. Now I just got to ease back into it. Thankfully there was no damage, and we caught it in time, perfect in time.
That's amazing, man. I'm so glad to
Yeah.
hear that.
Definitely.
That's great news, man. That's awesome. Is that the first time you're mentioning that you're good to go, or is?
I said it on the podcast the other day because that's when I finally got the news. But actually, I got the news like for certain today at cardiac rehab, when I actually saw the results of the test that I took 2 weeks ago, and they told me that no damage to the heart. They're looking at about a month to where I can start picking it up, and getting back to where I was before. Obviously, I'm not going to wrestle. I'm gonna take another month off. I am looking to start back up late June, early July. But today was the first day that I officially got 100% confirmation that I am on the road to definite recovery.
That's amazing, man. I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah, and I'm actually glad that I got that 100% confirmation before I came on the show. Because I wanted to spill it earlier, but I put up that little post earlier talking about day one at cardiac rehab, but I didn't want to spill the beans. I wanted to come on here and spill the beans that they said that we're good, so we're gonna pick it up.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome.
That is
and
definitely awesome.
no, there's no stopping me now. So I just gotta. It's gonna be slow next month and a half or so, but I know at the end of that month and a half I'll be able to wrestle again. So.
That's amazing, man. That's so great to hear. That is awesome.
Yeah, cardiac
Yeah,
rehab. They're going to be doing stress tests and things like
Mhm.
that with you. So it's. I mean, I've never had a heart attack, but I've been around people who have, and I
Mhm.
mean, Sometimes the recovery is nice and quick and efficient. Other times it's not.
Mm.
Um, but you being in cardiac rehab now, this early, essentially, in my opinion, March to now, that's a quick turnaround for being in recovery and
Yeah,
rehab even. So
yeah,
that's a good sign.
yeah. They were talking about, obviously there was there's other people at cardiac rehab. Obviously, they were a lot older than I was, and that was what he was saying, and what she was saying today at my appointment. They were just like, your age, and the fact that that heart attack didn't cause any damage to your heart, you know, is really why you're going to be in and out of here in a month instead of 2 months or 3 months.
That's amazing.
Definitely.
That's fantastic. That's great.
So
So yeah, just take it easy. Keep doing pushing, man. And it sounds like you'll be back on your feet in no time. Got some comments so far. Tiger Smith saying, "Yo, David all day,
Mm.
a." um, he's another fellow wrestler. He actually also does like
You muted yourself.
by accident. I got excited.
Yeah.
Johnny Page just dropped the awesome good news, man. I'm excited. Uh, so as I was saying, he does gigs, and he also does like Renaissance fairs and stuff like that. Makes a mean barbarian, because he's a
nice,
pretty mean guy in the ring as well and outside the ring. The fact that he
nice.
graces us with his presence on the podcast is
Wow.
but no, that's great to hear, Johnny. I was gonna say, is there anything you want to tell us or drop? But that's a good bomb right there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It
Uh,
was, it was something that I was, because I had a really in-depth conversation, with this lady and the guy, because cardiac rehab is, they're going to be the ones to tell me, hey, this is when I can go to the gym by myself and I can, start, doing these things to get back into ring shape,
mm,
to get back at it. And so I was eager for this appointment this morning, and I was really ready to go in there firing many questions at them, because I want to wrestle as quick and as soon as possible, but I also want to be safe and I want to be recovered as well. And so they gave me some great news.
Right.
it's great.
So we're talking about next 2 to 3 months, Johnny Faith will be back in the ring.
Yeah, like I said, late June, early July. I'm hoping. I'm hoping my first show back is going to be at Heartland Championship Wrestling late June. I think it's the 28th or something like that. It's that last Saturday in June, I believe. So I'm
Is
hoping that's going to be my first match back.
is there anybody you have your eye on as a welcome back match, or is anybody
Yeah,
issued a chat?
whoever's got that HCW Independence Championship, whoever is holding that belt, they gotta. I mean, if I gotta earn it back, that's fine. But I got a rematch clause, I think maybe. So that's what I'm going to be eyeing my prize. That's the eye of my prize right there, is that Independence Championship. So that they better know. HCW Billy Simmons, you better know. Johnny Face coming for that HCW Independence Championship. I don't care who has it. I'm coming for it.
Challenge to issue. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's awesome. Um, let's see. Ask any fans watching. You have any questions? Please drop them in the comments. If you have any questions for Mr. Johnny Faith here for us, uh, we'll answer those. Get those answered for you. Ron, you got any questions? Any other questions for him? Like,
He covered pretty much everything I thought of
mhm,
when we set this up. I mean, I knew it
mhm,
wasn't going to be 20 minutes. I knew we'd be at least an hour, and here we are.
mhm.
We're
Yeah.
at an hour and five. So, man,
I guess only two, because you did mention that you talked to a couple of trainees and stuff. Any advice you would give to any guys watching right now that are considering jumping in the ring or getting in the business? And I guess I'll follow up with a two-part of there. Are there any uh, memorable tips or any memorable advice that you were given from anybody?
All right. So before I forget the second part of that question, I'm gonna answer that one first. So I'm gonna answer the second part. So some of the best advice that I was given, that I always try to incorporate in every match, is Dr. Tom Pritchard. I went to a seminar with him. Him and Les Thatcher held a seminar up in his training school in Tennessee a couple years ago. And the first thing he said to us was, shoot, but work. You know, and that's what I try to do when I try to wrestle. Shoot, but work. You know, I always try to make sure that my wrestling reflects A, how I would fight somebody in real life, and B, how I would win said fight. You know, I always got to treat it like a real fight. I always try to treat my wrestling matches as a real fight because I got to make it make sense. You know, if I'm not going to do this in a real fight, why am I going to do this in a wrestling ring? So that's probably some of the best advice that I've ever gotten. It was from Dr. Tom Pritchard. Shoot, but work.
Wow. I like that.
Shout out to Dr. Tom.
Yeah. And then advice that I give people, the next generation, whoever, stay humble, stay hungry, stay knowledgeable. Always keep those ears open. You can learn something every day. Hell, there's something you can do for professional wrestling every day, whether it's share a show flyer or like somebody's post or share an event or like a company's page. You know, there's always something you can do every day. You can always learn something. Film study, something. So what I tell the next generation is never stop learning because every day you can learn something.
Most definitely.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. That's
It's
some good advice right there. You never stop learning. Once you think you've learned everything, there's a problem.
It's
Yeah.
always an evolving business, so there's a lot of, there's always going to be a lot of learning ability going on there.
Mhm.
Exactly. There's always something to learn. Whether it's promos, whether it's psychology, whether it's how to present yourself, whether it's, you know, how to learn how to make your own graphics, you know, teach yourself how to make your own logos, graphics, some marketing, watch some marketing YouTube videos, things like that. There's always something to learn to make yourself better.
True. That's amazing. I gotta say, man, that the fact that you are, it just shows your determination, your love for the business, your passion. You can hear it in your voice, and then the fact that you're fighting and just kicking ass and just dropping that great news that you're still in it, man, and we're hoping for a quicker recovery now, and that you come back even better. It's pretty cool to hear. It's pretty inspirational as well.
Yeah, I've had some setbacks. You know, I had a good first half of my career so far, and then bam, it got shut down. My dad died, my buddy died, so I kind of took that mental hiatus. Now I
Mhm.
got back on in the saddle. All of a sudden, everything's going great. Bam, heart attack. So another setback. So now I'm just determined. I am determined to do what I can when I come back to be better than before, to be the best wrestler I can be, best person I could be, I guess. Not take any opportunity for granted anymore. Make sure that I give it 110% every time because I don't know when it's going to be my last time. And it was almost my last time, I thought, and now that I know it's not, it's time to just push and go get it.
Dude, I can't wait to see you back in the ring, and I
Same.
can't wait to well, hell, I can't wait to see you, period.
Yeah, I feel
It's
you,
always
man.
it's always a good time when even if you just get to hang out,
Yeah.
at a show. It's always a fun thing. I still attend shows as a fan on occasion as well. When I'm not booked and there's something I want to do or somebody else I'm with wants to go check out a show, all you got to do is you ain't got to twist my arm. Let's go.
Let's
Get
go.
in the
Yeah.
car.
Yeah.
Get in the car. I don't worry about that stuff. I want to go to a show too. I mean, that's
Let's go be a
life,
fan for a night. It's different,
dude.
you know.
It's fun. I got to do it a couple months back. Sit there with my daughter and some friends, and it was just cool to sit there and enjoy the show as fans. And it was crazy because half, everybody that was on the show knew who I was, and I'm sitting front row. So it's like they're like, "The hell is this? He's on the
Is he
outside of the guardrail."
is
Like,
he
Yeah.
yeah,
announcing tonight? Like, is he announcing tonight? Like,
no,
Well,
I'm not.
considering that he's goofy, and that's a pretty funny story. Like, people kind of recognizing him outside the ring. Were there any times where you kind of recognized yourself and kind of like people walked up to you, or like any funny situations that you were in? Um,
so No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
Is
that,
what
that
you-
was it. I was gonna
uh,
ask any military buddies who figured out that
uh,
you're wrestling and they're like, what the hell?
so let me tell you something. All right. So outside of Kansas, yes. Kind of see some fans here and there,
Hmm.
but I actually, when I moved to Georgia,
Hmm.
I had literally just wrestled for this company. And 2 days later, I'm at the Walmart, where I live, and all of a sudden I hear somebody yell, "I think that's Johnny Faith over there." And I look over, and it's a family that was at the show I was at. And I was in a battle royal, like, or something. You know what I mean? I was on the show for like maybe 35, 45 seconds, at most. I came in, did my thing, got kicked out. The battle royal. But it was really cool because I'm brand new to Southeast Georgia when this happened, and to hear that in the store of a Walmart in my hometown where I've only been living about a month, was just a lot different and pretty cool.
That's dope, man. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, it was one of those weird situations, that I did not expect.
Well,
Um,
I
any of your wrestling buddies seen you, or anybody from the military recognize you, seen your any of your matches?
Yeah,
Or
when I was I had some military buddies. Anytime I'm close to any of my military buddies, they try to come out. When I was up in Indiana, wrestling up there, one of my old platoon sergeants would come out and watch me. Um, Same thing out in North Carolina. I had a couple Army buddies come out and watch. So it's pretty cool, for them to come and experience that. Especially for the love that I had for wrestling, even while I was in the service, and I'd still watch it, talk about it, and now they get to see me do it. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I like when the Army buddies come out, because then they take over with the chants and all that.
that's awesome. Ron, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You had a question,
you're
something.
you're good. Dude, being recognized in a Walmart. That's yeah, that's funny. It
Dude, I
it
was just
really
it was blown away. I was like, and I had recognized the family too when I walked in. I had
Hmm.
recognized the family, and I was like, oh, I think I just saw them at the show. Not that long ago. Because I really don't live in a small town, but the show is in Jacksonville, so it kind of wasn't too far from where I'm at. And as soon as one of the kids saw me, it was like, hey, I think that's Johnny Faith right there. And I was like, oh no. So I beelined it over to the family. I was like, hey, it's good to see you guys. Thank you. Come to the next show, hopefully. I'll see y'all later, and went on my way.
That's
right,
awesome, man. That's really cool.
definitely.
I mean, in
Def-
Kansas, it was a lot different. I'd see fans all the time. It was kind of a small town feel, vibe, stuff like that. So, Kansas, you'd see fans out in public.
mm.
That's really cool. That's the kind of like cool little moments like that that always stay with you. Like there's a reason why you get into the business. It's not for yourself. It never is, but it's that feeling, that high when you get those interaction with fans and you get those emotional moments. It's all about those emotional moments and making those magic moments. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, especially or I get like the fan that messaged me after the show, and they're like, "Hey man, I just want you to know I appreciate you giving my kid that bracelet. It made his night. He's gonna remember this forever." Or they'll send me pictures of like pictures they've taken of me and their kid or something like that. Had some kids dress up as army soldiers for Halloween one year, so that was pretty cool.
That's pretty that's pretty cool.
So yeah, anytime I can see fans out in public, I try to give them some love, definitely.
Oh yeah. It's always good to do that because it lets the community know that you pay attention to them too.
Hmm.
So that's always a good thing to do. Uh, a lot of people, or I'm not gonna say a lot of people, but I have seen some people be like, oh, I can't stand it. They don't like it, and I'm like, I get it because you feel like wrestling is a small part of your life, but it's crazy to me that you wouldn't appreciate it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure it can get overburdening. I'm sure
Hmm.
that happens too. But at the same time, man, I've never turned it away. It's been weird having to stop eating. That's been weird. I didn't expect that. Asking for pictures in a Walmart has happened. That's weird, but it's happened. Um, I, I'm just grateful it hasn't happened in the John yet. You know what I'm saying? I'm just grateful for that.
One day, that's when you know you make it.
God.
Hey, I know you're pooping, but can you sign this?
Now I have been in a restroom where like I've been in full gear before, like looking in the mirror, making sure I'm good, washing my hands and whatnot, and I'm in full gear with kids coming in, and they're like, "Oh my God, Johnny Faith's in the bathroom right now!" Like, "Oh my God!" uh, I'm like, "Hi guys," and I'm a normal, nonchalant. Like I'm very quiet. Like in the locker room, I'm very quiet. I'm a quiet person. I keep to myself. I'll talk to who I'm wrestling, talk to the promoter. Shake wrestlers' hands, obviously for the respect, all that good stuff. But once all that's done, I'm kind of a loner, kind of keep to myself just to get in my head and in the game. And I'm very quiet, very soft spoken. So when I see those people in full gear, I still am that soft spoken person. I don't really change into Johnny Faith, or else I'd be yelling really loud in the bathroom at 9-year-olds and stuff. And so I just keep my composure when it's like that.
Oh my God. This guy yelling at a group of kids in the bathroom, stand at attention. Like, oh, that
So
would
I'll just
be
be like,
terrific.
hey boys, hope y'all are enjoying the show, something like that. Thanks for coming out. And I just walk. I don't even stop, especially when I'm in full gear, and I'm kind of not in Johnny Faith mode, if that makes sense. I
Yeah.
kind of try to just get out of there, as quick as possible.
Right.
Anything you want to promote? Anything you want to push? Or run? Anything? Any other questions or anything?
Nah, man. He's said everything. Like
I mean,
that I
really,
know of.
I don't have much coming up. I got cardiac rehab for a month. I'm going
Mhm.
to be a fan at a couple shows coming up here and there. Hoping to jump on some more podcasts here and there as well. Obviously, once those dates come out, I'll put it out on my pages, on my social media links, all that good stuff. But really, I'm just watching. I'm just watching and recovering, sharing show flyers. I'm sharing show flyers that that I'm not even a part of. Period. Just to help, just to do my part while I'm on the sidelines. You know what I mean? And I'm just trying to stay involved with pro wrestling as much as I can.
Mhm.
So
Right.
that's pretty much it. I really, like I said, I don't have much. I don't have much for right now. But once the summertime is in full swing and that late June, early July hits, we'll see.
That's awesome. I can't wait.
I'll be definitely reaching out to promoters and bookers and things and trying to get some things lined up for sure, especially in North Carolina. I am going to try. North Carolina has a huge target for me.
You hear that, Manny
Um,
Mac? You need to bring him back more.
a huge target. North Carolina is going to be a huge target because, that's where my family lives. Besides my fiance and kids, that's where my family lives. And, you know, when I moved out here to the East Coast, I made it a point to put North Carolina as a priority so my family could watch me wrestle and all that. So, that's as soon as I come back from this heart attack, North Carolina is a bullseye.
Well, we can try to get that Johnny Faith and Thomas Extreme rematch.
Yeah, I would like that.
Yeah.
Definitely. I would
That would
definitely
be
enjoy that. But yeah, I'm just, other than that, I'm really not, I just recovering slowly. And taking it one day at a time, and just trying to live, I guess.
right. But man, look, like I say, you were blessed to make it through it the way you did.
Hmm.
You really were.
Definitely,
Um,
it was like a miracle situation. And the only thing they could chalk it up with is bad hereditary genetics. They really couldn't chalk it up to anything else. Health wise, it was just a freak miracle, freak, not miracle, but a freak thing that happened. Just one of those once in a lifetime type chances, I guess. And the I guess the miracles, a miracle as well. So at the same time, so I mean, it's just the way it happened and how I pretty much slid through kind of unscathed, I guess you could say, is a blessing for sure.
So it was a
right.
blessing having you on here and you're able to tell your story here with us and share that with us and share that great news and that recovery. We really appreciate it. I'm glad we're able to have you come on and just kind of hang out with us for a bit. It's been pretty cool. Can you
No,
believe it's been an hour?
yeah. And I appreciate
Doesn't
it. I
feel
really
like
do.
it.
I really do, because this really helps. Like, it really helps. And I'm not talking about in terms of like, it helps get my name out there or nothing like that.
Mm,
I'm talking about mentally. This really helps.
mm,
Coming on here talking about things, getting real and raw, as you would say, I guess.
mm.
And getting to the nitty gritty about things, and how it is. That's what I like, man. I like getting raw. I like people knowing the real me, because that transfers into Johnny Faith. Johnny Faith is just me turned up 1,000%. There is no difference. It's just the last name's different. That's it.
Right.
Yeah, and like it's true. Like there's something to say about wrestling and how therapeutic it can be, um, and how it's become for a lot of us has become our therapy. Where it's our what can I say, it's our escape. Um,
Definitely.
so
Definitely.
and the fact that you're using this not really just to promote yourself but to promote your others, but tell your story, is pretty admirable, man. You're an amazing talent, and this is awesome. Great
Yeah, and I
opportunity.
appreciate it. I appreciate you giving me the platform to tell the story, because I feel that, inspiration, comes from the smallest things, and
Mm,
if I can inspire anybody in this 121 or hour and 21 minute, shindig that we got going on here, if I can inspire just one person, that's it for me. I'm good there, and at the same time, it makes me feel good. And then I get to hang out with you guys, and we get to shoot it for a little bit as well.
Right. I mean,
is it,
that's the whole point of it, though. And that
mhm,
there's a lot of people that don't see it that way. That's unfortunate.
mm,
But when, especially in a case like this, where you know I give you credit for thinking outside the box because you're like, well, I'm sitting on the sidelines. What else can I do?
mhm.
Well, get into podcasts. Do stuff like this. You talking about sharing flyers, so you're still working within the business, even though you're not working. You
Pretty
know what I'm
much, like
saying?
I share all kinds of show flyers. Pretty much all the companies that have given me opportunities over the years, I'll share their flyers. I'll share other flyers. Like, it doesn't matter if a flyer crosses my path, I'm gonna share it. I'm gonna share somebody's interview, somebody's promo. Like, I'm gonna keep doing what I can to make the business grow, help wrestling grow while I'm on the sidelines, because at the end of the day, we all got to work together to help this wrestling business grow. And right now, it is a boom, and it
Yeah,
can only go up from here if we all do what the hell we're supposed to do.
true.
Obviously, I can't wrestle, but I can at least do something to help.
Mhm. And that's what it's all about, man. You put yourself over by putting others over. That's what it's all
Always,
about, man.
always.
Never be out
That's what
there
I said.
for Yeah. Never be out there for yourself. We can all share in this. We can all make this business a better place, a safer place, and leave it a lot better than what it was. And that's what it's all about. And the fact that you have that mentality goes to show that you love and care uh, genuinely about the business, and the workers. It's great to see. It's very refreshing to see. Um, because I'm the same way. Like, I share posters, I share flyers, from shows I'm not even going to be on, or even in the same state, because I want people to know about indie wrestling. A lot of
Yeah,
that's the main thing I hear
companies
from
I
some
never
people.
worked for, nothing. Like, I'm sharing it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care. To be honest with you, I don't care who's running in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Mm,
Whoever runs in Charlotte, North Carolina, I don't care the company. If it hits my timeline and it's in Charlotte, I'm sharing it, because
mm.
I'll always share wrestling shows in my hometown, whether I'm on them, a part of them, or not. Like, I'm always sharing that show flyer in Charlotte, because that'll always be my hometown. So I'll always share that, and I've done that since MySpace days.
Wow, this man taking it back.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I
Oh,
did that when XWW was running out of a club over off like Freedom Drive or something, and they were running like Kate Skate Ring and stuff like that. And those show flyers from like 2006, 2007,
man.
2008, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, because anytime anybody runs Charlotte, like I think I just shared a Title Belt Pro
Hmm.
flyer the other day. They're running in Charlotte coming up in May. I'll share it. You know, anybody running Charlotte, North Carolina, I'll share it because that's my hometown. You know, that's the ultimate goal of mine is to always wrestle there as much as I can. So I'll share. I'll do whatever I can to try to get a little toe in the door to try to get myself there. So, you know, my family can watch me wrestle.
It's amazing, man. That's dope.
Exactly.
That's a good mindset.
There's there's a lot to it, dude, and gr- I'm grateful for people like you who want to do more in helping the products. All right, this, for example, this isn't just us putting out your story. It's content for us. It's content for you. It's content. Content is king. If y'all don't believe me, why is WWE on TV damn near 20 hours a week? Because content's king. That's how it works.
Correct. And why do you think they have so many people, having their own thing now? Why they were really big on, if you have your brand, you're going to use your brand to support the main brand that you have. We're all brands. We're all our own,
Right.
you know, product that we have to push. And if you can use that platform to push, the business, to push the promotions that you work for, push the talent that deserve a spotlight on them, like we're doing now. Then we can all win because the more people know about indie wrestling, the more people can come to shows, the more people that are come to see us and watch us and enjoy this. It's just, Ron says it a lot. One hand washes the other. Because that's one thing I hear a lot when I go to certain shows. There's first time comers or some fans like I didn't even know this was going on. I just got lucky to find a flyer.
Yeah,
But
I
it's
know what
good
it's
to
like to
hear
be
that.
like that. Yeah,
Yeah, it's good to hear that.
yeah.
So you got to push, share, and share that passion.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it was for me, how I found wrestling out in Kansas. You know, I had no clue there was a company an hour away that had been running shows for 4 years every month until I came across, I think, a yard sale page or something like that. And I saw the flyer and was like, huh, this looks freaking awesome. So let's go check it out.
Yeah, that's how it happens. That's how you get hit with the bug.
Yeah, and I mean, my trainers always taught me from the beginning, hey, if you don't promote, nobody's going to come see you. You know, if they don't know where to see you, then and you don't give them the outlet on where to come see you. You don't share things or any of that, and no one comes and sees you, and you have 5 people in the seats, then that's on you. You
Mhm.
know, like you gotta share, you gotta help everyone grow. Like
Correct.
you
Correct. And
gotta
that's the
share.
Right.
that's the mindset that we need to have. If I help you grow, we all grow, and the whole business will grow as a whole.
That's
Because
that's
and then it's about how many people you can shove into a spot to watch some great wrestling. You know.
Correct. That's why, like, whatever I am, I try to promote or push whatever show I'm at. Like, I was in Alexandria this past weekend. I'm gonna be going back up later next month. So there's so many shows that are happening. I'm gonna be promoting. I'm gonna say, if I find a flyer, find a show, oh, you got to know about this. It's gonna be in your area. When I go up to PA, there's so many different promotions. There's a promotion you just had huge block party show in the middle of Main Street in PA. It's so much wrestling, like you said, it's everywhere. It's like a renaissance of wrestling. You could find a wrestling show nearby that you can go out and support because you're pretty
Oh
much
yeah.
essentially you're supporting the future stars of the future. All the guys that you're watching now on WWE, AEW, NWA, Impact, TNA, they all started out in the indies.
Yeah.
well, a good bit of them did, yeah, definitely. Um, that's one thing I've been kind of thinking about lately is like, you know, not everybody can cut a promo. I'm not going to sit there and say that everybody can, but the reality is, if you're booked on a show, and I've even considered doing it myself, even though I'm just a ring announcer. Um, I do have this weird ability to get a crowd going, so I mean, I might be able to do something with this. What I was thinking is, if every talent, let's say you got 7 matches on the card, one's a tag team, so you're talking about 6 matches, which is 1-on-1. So you got 12. Now add 4 more. You got 16 people there. But you have the ability for there to be 7 7 times 2, because it's 7 matches, at least 2 sides per. You're talking about 14 promos potentially. If everybody made a promo and sent it to the promoter, whether or not the promoter used it's one thing. If you use it yourself as well, how else are you going to get better if you don't do it? You can't tell me that you picked up a pencil and knew how to write your ABCs the first time. It didn't happen. It's not there. You didn't step into the wrestling ring and we're Randy Orton day one. It didn't work that way.
Mm-mm. You have to flex that muscle. You have to, do the reps.
I was not good as a ring announcer the first time. I was stiff. I was stiff as a board and like really self-conscious about everything. It took me over a year to figure out, okay, COVID helped me with that year too, because I did 2 shows, then COVID struck. So I had a good amount of time to sit and review my tape and figure out, okay, this is where you suck at. Fix it. And now, man, I feel more at home in front of a crowd of people with a microphone in my hand than I do in my own house sometimes.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's the same in the ring too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
But brother, listen, thank you so much for coming on here.
No, I appreciate it.
Definitely appreciate it.
Thank you for dropping some of that knowledge, some of those some great stories, great moments there. We appreciate having the time, taking the time just to hang out with a couple of guys like us, just chilling.
Nah, man, I really appreciate it. Like I said, it helps me a lot. It really does. Not only, like I said, getting my name out there, getting my story out there, but mentally this helps me a lot, because this heart attack has taken a lot out of me. It really has. I've kind of had to sit on the sidelines, watch a lot of great wrestling go by. Not saying go by, but watch a lot of great wrestling going down, and just wish I could be a part of it. And I know I'll get there eventually, and I just got to keep at it. But there for a couple weeks, at the beginning of all this, I was very down and distraught, but now I think I'm hitting a stride. So I think we're good. So I appreciate you guys letting me come on here and just speak and hang out with you guys, answer questions, and just be myself, for once, and not have to worry about what's going on out here, and only have to worry about what's going on right here.
Right.
That's awesome, man.
Well, we look forward to seeing you in the very near future, my friend. Keep us up to date on where you're going. If anybody doesn't know, follow Johnny Faith on social media.
I was working the fans, watch and follow you.
Yep, at Johnny Faith 704 on Instagram, Facebook, X, and TikTok.
There you go.
There it is.
And don't forget to follow his home promotion as well. If you're ever in you said Tennessee area.
Wichita, Kansas.
Wichita, Kansas area. Sorry, you did a show. Definitely check them out. They have some cool matches on YouTube, so definitely take a look at those. I just found it actually. Your your championship match is actually up there on YouTube as well. So definitely take a look at that. Big shout out to you guys, and shout out to you. Definitely take a look at that. Let's see what I'm going to say, Mr. Faith. If you have anything else, this looks like XWW seems to use you a lot. If you ever get a chance to get that match again with Manny, please come back to us. We'll love to have you on and see what Manny says about having that rematch with you.
I would love it.
XWW.
I would love it. I would love nothing more than to go back to XWW. Hopefully on a semi-permanent basis. I would love nothing more than for that to happen. And I got to say once again, I appreciate you guys, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for letting me come on and shoot it with you guys and explain things, and drop some good news, and and let the world know that this isn't the end for Johnny Faith. I'm coming back, and y'all better be ready.
Hell
There
yeah,
you
that's
have
what we
it.
want to hear, man.
Hell yeah.
That's what we want to hear. All right, buddy. Thank you very much. Everybody, thank y'all for tuning in. We will see you right back here Thursday night, 8 p.m. sharp for the Wrestling Wire. Y'all take it easy, and we will see you.
At the Indies.
That's
Deuces.
right.